Kick it.
Hello, Nickelodeon fans, and welcome to This Week in Nickelodeon History. My name is Captain Eric, and we are covering every Nickelodeon show that either started or ended between the times of October 24th and October 30th. And this morning is a bright, crisp October 28th, my birthday. I figured, I don't remember the last time I actually recorded a podcast on my birthday, so I figured why not make it this one. Let's dive in, have some fun, and even though technically we're not covering Halloween as the actual date on this episode, this is the closest Halloween episode we could get to with some of the subject matter that we're going to run into today. But we're going to start out with a show that actually ended 6 years ago on October 30th, 2015, Wits Academy, created by Mariello Romero and Katharina Leboudoir. I think I said that right. I don't know. I'm going to go with it. Ran for one season of 20 episodes. It actually premiered on October 5th, so it ran pretty much throughout the entire month of October, which, I don't know, seems like a bit of a rush. Well, it's a telenovela. Okay, so it's like a soap opera. It's one of those daily soap operas when they're on. All right, I understand that. Makes sense. 14 years ago, on October 30th, 2007, the TV movie Roxy Hunter and the Mystery of the Moody Ghost premiered on Nickelodeon. That was a mouthful. Roxy Hunter and the Mystery of the Moody Ghost. The first movie in the Roxy Hunter series of three. Four, I'm wrong. Secret of the Shaman, Myth of the Mermaid, Horrific Halloween. Those are your Roxy Hunter sequels. But the first one, premiered 14 years ago. I have not seen this movie or any of its sequels. I don't seem to be its target audience, and that is okay. But yeah, getting four movies, like that's if they're all like horror themed, kids like Halloween TV movies. It's just a fact. They're always the coolest ones that can air throughout the year. Every channel can have Christmas, this or that, but everybody remembers a really good Halloween movie. I mean, Disney had like two or three of them that were knocks out of the park in terms of like Halloween themed, and all of the Nickelodeon specials that were themed after Halloween, always better than the Christmas specials. I think the only Christmas special that could stand toe-to-toe with the best Halloween special is Hey Arnold's Christmas, and that's a debate worth having one day, but I can't believe that all came out of Roxy Hunter. Going from one TV movie to another one, and actually this one is a bit legendary, Cry Baby Lane, which premiered 21 years ago today. On October 28th, 2000, happy birthday, Crybaby Lane. Crybaby Lane aired one time and one time only during Snick's Halloween special. Snick, Saturday Night Nick, if you're not familiar with it. The special was hosted by Melissa Joan Hart and just was never, like I said, it aired once on television, was never seen again, and became a bit of a lost media. Something that, people remembered. There was maybe stills from it, like existence, that it happened, but just no one has that tape. And before streaming services or even YouTube, things just, hey, if you had to hope that someone out there had a recording of it, and then were able to digitalize that recording, and then hope to upload it to some service out there, whether it be YouTube or Daily Motion or whatnot, there was no way, like, especially with these like one-off movies, who would expect there to actually be a copy of it? In 2011, a copy was discovered on Reddit. And due to the reaction of this lost media, Teen Nick actually re-aired the film on October 31st, 2011, which is pretty cool of them. And apparently when it came down to why this became lost, the answer is actually they just simply forgot they had it. That it wasn't, I mean, yes, it was lost, but not like lost, we can never find it, but just like, oh, we forgot this existed. We'll dust it off and re-air it again. It's not that big of a deal. What's crazy is I wonder how many, there's got to be a ton more of content in Nickelodeon's vaults and Viacom's vaults that they definitely have and are just not being cataloged in a digital sense. We need to like go through and we need to digitalize all these old bumpers and whatever they have in their midst, any shows that are not on the streaming service. They're doing well, by the way, though. I mean, with the amount of shows that are still cranking out of Nickelodeon's vaults, Paramount is building a good base for all of those Nickelodeon shows, but there's a few more they got to get into. But Crybaby Lane, I have never watched this. I knew of the history of it, but I've never sat through and watched this movie. If it's worth watching, definitely let me know. I would appreciate that. Also, 21 years ago, on October 25th, 2000, As Told by Ginger premiered on Nickelodeon. Created by Emily Kapnick, As Told by Ginger was another show out of the Klasky Chupo studio and just another hit for Nickelodeon. Really growing up with their audience, because we're out of the 90s, and here is another Nicktoon that takes the teen drama comedy approach, and I think they took that ball and ran with it. For the time that Ginger was on television, which was 3 seasons of 60 episodes, they were able to tell so many stories involving so many characters. They were able to find different avenues of storytelling with these different characters interacting with one another, and there were stakes at hand. Things weren't forgotten. When something happens in one episode, it is remembered by the next episode, and not, something where you have to watch it episode to episode, but certainly why characters do what they do, their reasonings behind it, their love, their betrayal, their hate. It's just like any other, well-written drama. I believe if you watch this from beginning to end, it can be quite an experience. Now, my enjoyment of Ginger, now I was 9, 10 years old. I was 9, about to turn 10 years old when this show aired. And, there were certain aspects I liked about it, and it caught my attention for a little while, but I had fallen off from the show. I didn't really even get to experience the end of that show when it was on the air, because I just stopped watching, and I knew after a while, hey, it's just like any soap opera. If you don't pay attention for a while and try hopping back in, you certainly can, but for some it can be a bit of an overwhelming experience, like, oh, I missed out on all of that. And at the time, it wasn't like very easy to catch up on old episodes, so if you missed out, you missed out. There weren't like season DVD sets of the show, so there was just, no way of catching up, and it was one of those shows for me. I saw the end of that show, though, on YouTube a few years ago. I had never seen the ending, and I didn't know that there was not only such a concrete finale, but there was a time jump. And I gotta say, growing up with some of those characters, at least for the time that I was watching that show, which was a good like season and a half. I didn't like watch a few episodes and then quit. I watched a good amount, but for the time I did, and then got to see a finale in the way it was presented, that was really sweet, because there were not many Nicktoons that got to have a nice finality moment, and it was really nice to see a show like that have a not only like concrete final episode, but then get to have a bit of a time jump, so you get to see all these characters still knowing each other in the future, which I gotta say, being an adult, the older you grow makes you appreciate the people in your life so much more the longer they are with you. I have friends that I've known for more than half of my life thus far, and it's a beautiful thing to still be able to call them on the phone, still have them with you. So that ending of Ginger really touches home, honestly. If you have never seen it, look it up, especially if you grew up with that show. And even if you're like me, you don't have to watch the entire show to watch a scene like that and go, I get it. That's pretty sweet. So congratulations to all involved. I think it's a nice balance to have with all of the other goofier Nicktoons. You can have the Ren and Stimpy's, the Roccos, but you can also have the Hey Arnolds and the Gingers that are a little bit more grounded. They could still be a cartoon when they want to, and yeah, still some things can happen in terms of like storyline that it's like, all right, come on, this is getting just a little ridiculous. But that slice of life drama aspect is a great balance to the real goofy that you can find on that network. Also, from Klasky Chupo, 27 years ago on October 29th, 1994, Ah Real Monsters premiered on Nickelodeon. Created by Garber Chupo and Peter Gaffney, the show ran for 4 seasons of 52 episodes. And it's one of my favorite Nicktoons. It's one that has just always consistently been there for good horror content. If you're somebody who likes scary movies and scary stuff, and you are also into the Nicktoons, chances are you're probably a fan of Ah Real Monsters. I am someone who does enjoy a bit of scary movies, horror experiences. I love that stuff. And a lot of that stemmed from Ah Real Monsters and Are You Afraid of the Dark, 2 shows that I was watching on Nickelodeon, both airing at the same time. Wonderful stuff. Another thing that I really love about this show, it features one of my favorite Nickelodeon villains, Simon the Monster Hunter, voiced by Jim Belushi. First off, shout out to Jim Belushi. Love that guy. And Simon the Monster Hunter is the absolute best foil that I can think of for a show. Just a natural foil. When you build a world like this where monsters exist, they live in the dump, they're constantly around humans, the thought instantly goes like, you're telling me that no monster is getting caught? There's not that dumb monster? Yeah, they are getting caught, and Simon knows about their existence, but unfortunately for the monsters, or actually, fortunately for him, fortunately for the monsters, he's not the brightest light bulb in the bunch, and is pretty much to his own detriment the reason why he never succeeds. But he left such an impression on me as a kid, and just to me always felt like if you're going to build this story, he's a natural, like out of day one, there's got to be a monster hunter in this world, a natural villain. But to not forget about the monsters here, Ickis, Crumb, and Oblina, the 3 monsters that we follow here throughout the monster school, where they're being taught how to scare. And unlike the whole Monsters, Inc., Monsters University verse in which they're, like, these could be nice guys and they're scaring people, for a reason. Like, that doesn't exist here. These are monsters that are just scaring because scaring is cool. That's what it's about. And I love that concept. And it's great to have the Monsters, Inc. world too. It's got to be the Disney world of monsters. Well, I'm glad that our monsters in Nickelodeon are a little bit grungier. They're a little bit dirtier. I mean, the monsters in the Monsters Inc. universe like scaring too. No, I'm like, they enjoy their jobs, but there's a difference here. They have to scare, and when they feel like, think about this, when they realize they don't have to do it, everybody's stoked. You would think, like, if you show up to the scaring floor, like, hey, everybody, we're gonna stop what we're doing. We're gonna stop scaring kids. We're gonna make them laugh. I feel like there'd be a mass exodus, and it just feels like at the end of that first movie, there's not more monsters who are just like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm going to another scaring factory. You guys can laugh all you want. Obviously, I mean, the science is there. They could prove it. But still, there'd still be some scaring factories out there. I mean, we have energy in this world that is just arguably bar none better, like on every level, that everybody ignores because we like the old stuff. So in the Monsters Inc. world, you definitely know that regardless on laugh being a more powerful and efficient form of energy, there would still be those holdouts of scaring. Like, this is how we've always done it. We're going to scare children. Okay, I'm not going on a Monsters Inc. rant. Ah Real Monsters, though, they don't have to worry about energy. They don't have to do it. They're scaring because that's what monsters do. But they do touch upon other monsters that might philosophically not want to scare. Or Ickis, for example, one of our main characters, befriends a young child and doesn't, want to scare him, and has his own fears. And that stuff is touched upon. And that's what's beautiful, is that you have this entire school of hideous creatures that, are purposely designed to look like monsters. Some are approachable, some not so much, but they're all kind of human. And that's the beauty of it. The same beauty that is prevalent in Monsters Inc., Monsters University. You're watching these movies, you're watching the show. They look like fascinating creatures. But at the end of the day, they're written to be human. And I love that. And I love that the school aspect, even though it's about scaring, they found so many ways to reach, like write the same kind of stories that they could write if it was set at an actual school. So there was a lot of that involved, and I loved the creativity of that show. If you are someone who enjoys a good Halloween movie, a good scary movie, even if you're someone, you don't have to enjoy like the real hardcore stuff, but if you enjoy anything that just delves into a bit of the creepy, Our Real Monsters should be in your viewscape. Watch that show, check it out, and if you've never seen it, check out a few episodes. Let me know what you think. Watch any of the episodes at Simon the Monster Hunter. Those are some of my favorites. And just, since I'm asking some of you to watch out there, I figured I'd give you a good one to watch. Season 1, Crumb's Pimple. That's an episode that always makes me laugh. I love that episode. Give that one a watch. That's Captain Eric's pick of the week right there. But we're going from monsters that come out of your closet to I'm not going to make a joke about Allegra being a monster, but also 27 years ago on October 24th, 1994, Allegra's Window premiered on Nick Jr. Allegra's Window, created by Jan Fleming Callender, John Hoffman, and Jim Jenkins. The show ran for 3 seasons of 50 episodes. This was a Nick Jr. staple if you were growing up in the early 90s. This and our next show that we're going to talk about. But Allegra's Window was a pretty good show. I actually, when Paramount Plus first dropped, I was like, all right, I'm going to watch one episode, or at least try to, of each show. When I got to Allegra's Window, the first immediate thing that I noticed was just how all the puppets in the show looked like Doug characters. And then it clicked, oh yeah, Jim Jenkins here, creator of Doug, also helped create Allegra's Window. So it hit, oh yeah, of course the characters look in similar design. That's the same creator. So I can't unsee it now. And now the show just looks like, if they ever tried to make Doug characters into puppets and interact with humans, this is kind of what they look like. And I'm a bit interested in that. Disney now owns Doug, so I don't know, do something with puppets and Doug for YouTube. Try at least build them. I'd love to see what they look like. But Allegra's Window, I remember watching it as a kid, and it was super charming. It's definitely something that if you have young kids, it's still probably going to be a very colorful treat for them to watch. Even on rewatch, I was like, some of the characters had great designs. In that one episode I watched, I didn't feel like any characters like overstayed their welcome on the screen. I picked some random season 1 episode, and it's one of these shows that has such a roundabout carnival cast of characters that, we just got to cycle through them. Everybody's got to get their chance to get a little bit of a joke or a little bit of gag in. And it was charming. So, wonderful Nick Jr. show. And from one Nick Jr. show to another, 27 years ago on October 24th, 1994, Gullah Gullah Island premiered on Nickelodeon. Created by Maria Magdalena Perez, Kathleen Mitten, Catapano, and Kit Laybourne. The show ran for 4 seasons of 70 episodes, and I absolutely adore Gullah Gullah Island. It's one show that I definitely watched a lot as a kid, but its theme song and just the iconic Binya Binya frog just stayed in the back of my head. There's no way that after hearing this theme song, or at least if you grew up with it, you can't ever forget. The Gullah Gullah Island theme song is an absolute earworm. I was going down this rabbit hole of Gullah Gullah Island because I'm like, I wanted to look more about it's a fictional island, right? And I wanted to get more into this, and it's just fascinating stuff. So I'm gonna bring you a little bit more information about Gullah Gullah Island here. The show was hosted by Ron Dace, now the vice president for creative education at Book Green Gardens in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina, and his wife, Natalie Days, both of whom also served as cultural advisors and were inspired by the Gullah culture of Ron's home of St. Helena Island, South Carolina, part of the Sea Islands. Gullah culture, like I got fascinated by this because I don't know, you're presented some of these words as kids, and I don't remember much of the show. I was 3 or 4 years old when I was watching this. I just remembered theme song, Binya Frog, really good people. I want to visit that island, but I like that I'm actually learning a little bit more. The Gullah are African Americans, and I'm reading this from Wikipedia. I don't want to get wrong. This is information that has been sourced, and this is official. This is what I trust right now. The Gullah are African Americans who live in the Low Country region of the U.S. states of Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and North Carolina, in both the coastal plain and the Sea Islands. They developed a Creole language, also called Gullah, and a culture with some African influence. I gotta say, it's really fascinating, and this is, my goodness, this is what America and really the world is just all about. It's just people with experiences, with culture, whatever they feel is their culture, bringing this to other people. And here you have a group of people all in the southern part of the United States that have developed this now separate heritage, this Gullah heritage. And I love that Ron and Nancy then took that to executives at Nickelodeon, I guess after one of their presentations, and they built upon Gullah Gullah Island in making this show for kids to bring just a little bit of that culture to our television screens. And I am absolutely blessed to have had that experience. Didn't even realize. I got to rewatch more of Gullah Gullah Island on Nick Jr. But I don't know. It just, think about that at the time, early 90s. What other children's shows were really, diving into worlds like Gullah culture? I can't think of any. And I mean, what a beautiful way to present that to kids. I like that. There's another, any show that can help bring some part of the world in an interesting and fun way to kids, I think is a great experience. This isn't a contest. We don't have to show off who's got what or how many, but hey, if there's a cool culture out there, if there's something that can be represented in some way and just be shown, well, why not? Why not do it? Do more of it. There's enough channels out there. There's enough kids. There's more eyes now looking at screens than ever before in life. I'm blessed, and this is great that I think it's up on Paramount Plus right now, if I'm not mistaken. So, what was another cool thing about Gullah Gullah Island here is that it actually had a bit of a lost media itself. In 1997, a miniseries from Gullah Gullah Island was created after the Binya Frog, which I mentioned. I actually should. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I know on Gullah Gullah Island, it's made up of most humans living on this island. It's a live action show, but there's an actual person in a costume. Well, no, the Binya Frog's a real creature. Come on, we got to keep some of the magic alive. No, there's a puppet, character that is there obviously as the mascot of the show and to entice kids. But the Binya Frog is a kind of a kid in his own right. He's young, so he makes mistakes and then has to learn from them. Binya is a great character, and so they took him and made his own little short form mini series called Binya, and it aired once from February 12th to February 6th, all 5 episodes, and then they were just never seen him from again. And there was, once again, if you did not record these things, they air once, one time only, boom, you're done. Years later, you just you can't go to YouTube, and if no one has uploaded that, then there's no way to prove that it existed. A promo advertising the series' debut is the only known footage. And I guess all 5 episodes, I get 5. Yeah, it's 5 episodes. All 5 episodes were believed to be lost until 2017 when snippets of the 5th episode and the 4th episode surfaced online, coming from old VHS tapes of Nickelodeon shows. People who just happen to be recording at the time. I mean, now it's almost impossible for something to air and it for not to be preserved. With the way the internet, I mean, you put anything on the internet, it stays around. But stuff that aired in like the early 90s, late 90s, it's tough if somebody wasn't ready at the time with that recorder. But that is This Week in Nickelodeon History. My name is Captain Eric. I appreciate you making me a part of your week. Thank you for being a part of mine. If you like any of the content I produce, audio, video, anywise, and if there's any way that you can share that out to the world, I appreciate you. If there's any way that you can help me out, liking videos, subscribing, sharing, even just coming by on Twitter and Instagram and saying what's up, any of that is always appreciated. So thank you very much. Please stay safe out there. We'll see you next week. Have a great one.
On the Lord Hut, here a hut, Nick. On the Lord Hut, here a hut, Nick, Nick. On the Ricky Ticky Low, while living #1 Nickelodeon.